This is the Monday Night Men's Forum. I am Matt of a FarmHopLife, and tonight we have two guests. Scott, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Scott Miller from Thrive in the Future podcast.
And we have
Me.
Who is me?
I'm Grant Payne. I'm just me. There's nothing really to it.
Grant Payne of Homestead of Pain.
Yes, that was an addition I made from last week.
I like it.
Pain. Awesome.
So Scott, this is your first time on the Men's Forum. We go around and share a recent personal event. Doesn't have to be huge or anything like that. Just something like, hey, I like this part like in the last week. Like I felt good about this so go ahead.
Great. Yeah. So I spent the weekend taking chestnuts that I've grown from seed. So I have a bunch of extra trees. I took WordPress and created a e-commerce site, what's it called? GrowNutTrees.com, and then rolled that out and sold a bunch of trees.
You sold already? You sold a bunch?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's fast.
Yeah.
Do they ship now or do they ship in the spring?
They ship now.
How tall are they?
So the 1 years are 10 to 18 inches tall, and then the 2 years are 18 to 24. And then I have a bunch of chestnuts that I foraged. And so I sold some of those so that people could sprout them out.
Nice. That's awesome.
So I mean, aside from me foraging them, sticking them in a bucket of sand, and then taking them out and putting them in another, pot, and then watering them, I didn't do anything to them for the last year. So.
How long did you leave them in the sand?
I leave them in the sand from now until April.
Okay, because I just picked a bucket full of them from my school.
Mm-hmm.
So I may do that.
Yeah, make sure you don't put them in regular soil because the last 2 years the soil was too moist, and then it ended up getting the chestnuts all rotten.
Okay.
So yeah.
Nice.
Put them in sand, and then in about April, then they've got a taproot going off and a sprout coming up, and then I take them and I put them either in tree pots or in 5-gallon buckets or 2-gallon buckets or something like that.
How deep is the sand?
It's just a 2-gallon bucket with sand in it.
Okay.
And I layered the chestnuts in there 2 or 3 rows. So
okay.
Once they sprout out, then you just take them out real carefully and move them over to a pot.
Nice. Grant, personal event.
It was tonight. I just got home. I had my first date. So it was
Congrats,
good.
Dude.
It was fun. It was nice.
Awesome.
Is someone from your class, I'm assuming?
It is. It was.
Yeah. Is it the lady who you basically stole her pigs?
No, I didn't. No, it's not her. She has dropped 2 classes and disappeared.
Stole her pig.
I finessed the pigs.
He swindled pigs from her.
No, it was finessed. 100% finessed.
Go ahead and tell the story, Grant, for those that haven't heard the story.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I got an Ossabaw from this guy in Cave Springs. And so she ended up getting her 2 pigs from the same guy I got mine from, but they were just a different mix. So, but she lives in the city, and her aunt called the city on them because they got mad at them for some reason. So she was trying to, find somewhere for the pigs to go. She asked me. Well, I was asking around, and I first off started to well, who can I, sell these pigs to? Them give me the money, maybe $15 more, and then I just give them the pig or the goat, all the stuff she had. And then ended up waiting till the last Tuesday, the day that they were the city was going to come and inspect everything. And I just picked him up and took him home and didn't have to pay because it was desperate and hard pressed.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then
So you still have it, or have you harvested yet?
I do. I still have them. They were small, but I ended up the guy who we got our pigs from. I ended up doing some bush hog work for him, and getting paid in more pigs. And then I traded those 2 pigs for 2 more pigs that were the pigs I had were 20 pounds each, and I traded them for 270 pound plus pigs.
Pig rich.
So, and we butchered one out like 2 weeks ago. I rendered the fat down last week. You got some great cooking fat and some good baking fat.
That's great.
Are you gonna take the 2 pigs that you got for free to your new girlfriend's dad as an offering to let him let you marry his daughter?
We'll see. I don't know about that right,
I like how
right
you're
now.
not ruling it out.
I don't know about that right now.
Like, it's still on the table.
That's right.
On the table.
It's all negotiable.
It's negotiable. So my personal event is that we are potty training our 2-year-old right now, and so that's fun. That we've been basically locked in the house all weekend. That was fun.
I liked your poll about which day is worse, day 1, 2, or 3.
See, what I found funny was the results of the poll. Let's see. Where's my poll results?
That was great.
I don't know. So it was so I only got 10 votes. It was like 20% day 1, 20% day 2, 20% day 3, and 40% was just like, show me the results. So literally the poll was like completely worthless. Thanks for nothing, people that voted.
Yeah, that was great.
Or I need more people that voted. I don't know. Whatever. But it probably just would have been the same number. But I thought that was the result percentages were funny. But yeah, today went a lot better. And but I thought that was the result.
No.
Oh, okay. Grant, quit screwing around.
Sorry.
I just hear myself and then oh no. Okay. So tonight
he's running a promo already. So
yeah. So we are talking about under the influencer. I know, super. I'm like on Reddit. I'm 14 right. And this is deep. It was very. Thanks for the laugh, Grant.
I actually really like the name. It's very catchy.
It was all I could come up with.
I like it. I really do.
Yeah, that's a good podcast title.
Yeah. So I was thinking about like why are people like the influencer doesn't even have to be that big, right? So like Scott, they could be influenced by you somehow. They could be influenced by me. They could be influenced by somebody that, put out their first podcast episode tonight or something, right?
Yeah.
But obviously more popular, the more people listen, blah, blah, blah. And so like people are like under the influence of like Joe Rogan or I don't know. I'm trying to think of other people, but it doesn't even necessarily have to be an influencer. It could even be a priest. It could be politics, if we want to go there, which I don't, although I did give it as an example. And so like
open the door.
I know, I hate myself. And so like just basically anybody that has a platform to say something to encourage others to do something either positive or negative. And the example that I gave was like it could be Donald Trump on Stop the Steal. Like, and this is where we're going to get into dangerous territory that I don't want to get like attacked for, because I'm really just asking questions. Is Andrew Tate? Because that was like a whole thing a couple weeks ago. People were all pissed off at Andrew Tate for something. I'm still not really sure because I've never listened to the guy.
Oh, he's got something new this week.
Oh, cool! Can't wait to not hear about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it could be like Joel Salatin on Starting a Farm. He influences people. Or Wendell Berry on the perspective of small town America. My point is like, where is that person at in like their mindset that makes them influenced by by somebody is the question.
The influencer or the influence, the person being influenced?
The person being influenced.
Well, I think the whole social media, especially Twitter, as we've seen this week, is just primed for, you're just primed for being influenced, and then it reinforces that, whatever you're liking, it reinforces it. It shows you more of it. It entrenches people. It makes them just more entrenched in their whole ideas of what they think, right? And then next thing you know, they're off in their little bubble, and it's all it's all just an echo chamber.
You bring up a good point. It reminds me of somebody like another big podcaster I was listening to, like probably years ago. He had said, he's like, I've listened to so many other podcasts, like I don't even know if my thoughts are my own anymore. Like I'm so influenced by other people that is this me?
Mm-hmm.
When I make a comment about something, is this me, or is this the culmination of everything I've ever consumed?
Right.
So
and it's really hard as a podcaster to keep from sounding like somebody else, and
keep repeating the same thing from someone else.
Right.
I would say for me, someone who has consumed a lot of content from influencers, most of it on YouTube, it's for mostly to learn things. And on YouTube specifically, you can see what they have done to kind of prove themselves to you on why you should listen to them.
Right.
Like Joe Salatin or Justin Rhodes and several other people who, like Self-Sufficient Me, you can see in every video they do the proof right there.
I mean, those are like something almost like tangible, like go ahead and do this thing. It's not so much of like this is how you should think about stuff. Like it's more of like here's a problem. You can physically go and create something to make the solution. Whereas I'm like politics is really all just like making yourself feel better inside without actually doing anything. Right. You literally don't have to do anything. You just be like, I like that guy, and he's gonna fix all my problems.
Yeah, which never happens, no matter who it is.
Right.
And this is the key. This is the key: is the people who are sharing stuff, especially the conspiracy theory stuff or the audacious stuff. They're getting a dopamine hit after doing that, and they're really not going and doing anything they tell you to do, right? So it's like, oh yeah, well, we need to go and get pandemic amnesty or something, and we need to get people to pay and all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, so what did you do? Nothing. And so
right.
And it's really funny because I overlap a little bit with some of the Doomer Optimist and the Regen Ag people. And sometimes they follow some people that are more left. And you can see the bubble on that side. They're talking about the same thing. And what's Scott Adams say, that it's like you're watching two different movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I always like to float between all the groups. Like I never want to be in any of them. I just like going in between all of them. It's just like It's like a buffet.
I know recently I've just started cutting them all out, just cleaning out who I follow and just because I just don't care anymore. I've kind of checked out of our what we have going now. It's just so ridiculous. So like everything is just, I just don't care anymore,
So
you're
Matt,
too young to be jaded like that.
Hey, I mean, that's one of the things,
you're way ahead.
Anarchism. I mean, Michael Malice, let's go.
I do like that guy.
Yes.
So Matt, do you consider yourself an influencer?
No, I just what who would I influence and what would I influence them to do? At the end of every podcast, I say, go feed yourself. There's my influence. Like, that's it. That's all. I guess that's an influence.
And then they eat.
I hope that would be fantastic. If I influence people to grow their own food, that'd be neat. I'd take that as a win.
I think you'll influence people to go and get a camper and
I got to do it first, though. I can't
exactly.
I can't be a LARPer. There's another trigger word for people apparently
LARPer.
this week. Yeah. So Grant, you brought up Michael Malice and anarchism.
Yes, I did.
Let's go there for a second. So, like,
okay,
what influenced you to be like, you don't have to like wear the title of anarchist. You can just like have anarchist views.
because you wear the title anarchist and people just don't understand because they think it's synonymous with, everything's on fire. And that's
like
just
everything isn't on fire now.
I mean, we'll just wait till the summer. We'll see.
It'll literally be on fire. I'm talking metaphorically. Yeah.
I mean, it could be both.
Yeah,
But I just started listening to him and a lot of, again, like with telling you, most of the people, they have something to back it up with. So he has, reasons based in reality that backs up what he has to say. And he'll give you people to read, like in his book that compiled, a whole bunch of different people with different kind of skews on it, all kind of coming to the same conclusion of the ever expanding state doesn't necessarily have to be.
And that resonated with you?
Absolutely. If you try to go and look at building codes to build anything, it's completely ridiculous. I know for the county I'm in, you technically are supposed to have a permit to install a toilet, a hot water heater, a new door, or a window. I mean, things that you could probably do in a single afternoon.
Yeah.
It's like Salatin's book, Everything I Want to Do is Illegal.
Yes, exactly.
That's exactly how it goes. So I guess back to like the overall question is like, it's a little rhetorical, so we can we don't necessarily need to answer it directly, but it's like, what mindset were you in that brought you to Michael Malice? Like, there must have been something that was like, man, I'm just so fed up with political XYZ. Like, I'm just over it all.
So the last, I would say, good 3 years, I would just throw that number out there. Things progressively got more and more ridiculous, and they just kept getting more and more ridiculous. And looking at who we have as a leader now in office and who he has chosen to speak for him, like as press secretaries, it's just a whole lot of not good. And so and then all that with everything that they pushed, during the lockdowns, it's just, you see the arm of the state come down and hurt people who were given a small amount of power, and they take it and use it to an extent they shouldn't be able to. And then they'll grab more and then more and more at every chance they get. And then so I found him and then his opinions and views on stuff. And again, it resonated with me because you don't necessarily need a state to have to control you. They have a natural function that they don't really perform anymore.
Yes, I can see that. Yep. Scott, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I do. So I like what Pete Quinones said not too long ago. So I used to be super duper libertarian, and then he posted that you become libertarian because you want people to leave you alone. You become something else when you realize that they won't leave you alone. And I'm not sure what that something else is, but it's, that whole passive thing. But, I mean, to some extent it's all clown show. So I don't worry about that. I make my own reality and stuff, or attempt to. So, but yeah, it's that whole mindset for me has kind of changed away from the hey, yeah, we can all, if we're just free, then we'll all get along. And most of the time, if we had anarchy or libertarian type freedom, they probably wouldn't all get along. So there's got to figure something else out.
Right. It's funny that you bring up libertarian, because I was thinking today, I heard, like, obviously with the midterms tomorrow, you hear a lot of talk about we need a third party. The lesser of two evils is blah, 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 whatever. And I'm thinking that's still only three options, which is pretty awful.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was thinking of, like, okay, let's explode it out. I always get like micro and macro confused. But anyways, let's go to the world, right? There's only like between 200 and 220 countries, depending on how you cut it up, right?
Sure.
That's only 200, and let's just go on the high side, 220 different, like, current operations of like a federal government, or however you want to cut it, some form of government. And somehow, arguably, all three of us currently are in the best one, and it still sucks. Like, it still sucks hard. And so we need like 10,000 different countries, and see, like, so that could possibly mean like 10,000 different, ways to run a country, if we were to have a country, which it seems like we're not quite there to be without countries altogether. But let's get more countries, more different ideas of thought. And so the ones that do better, more people would want to go there. And the ones that have real crappy rules, nobody is going to want to be there. It's kind of like a free market of countries.
Yeah, I would say with the United States being so big and, a collective of states, if, those states are trapped, underneath the federal government, to not really be able to set their own standard. And then they're currently so high on federal money to do anything to change that.
I would be open to completely abolishing governments and just letting just have states, and then states can,
I would agree with that, because you see more and more
adopt
nowadays.
Federal law. That's fine. So, like, we would have like the country of Montana or Kansas or Georgia,
or two or three states, in one country. But you see a lot of places nowadays, you have more state pride than national pride. I can say that for myself specifically, is like, being in Georgia. I mean, I'm about Georgia, it's like, because that's what affects me. That's what's around me every day. Federal issues, I just quite simply I just don't care about it anymore. I was for, 4 years wrapped up into all that, but I realized it's like, I don't care anymore. I'm just tired of it. I can still do my goals, and my goals are needed now more than ever. With, you look at, and you can break this down and get kind of conspiratorial about everything, but things just aren't looking good. You look at the processing plants burning down, whether you think that's coincidence or accident, 200 critical points in our food distribution have been caught on fire. And those are problems that nobody really talks about.
That's a big problem. back to influencers. I was talking with a friend on Twitter, and she really liked my last interview. I interviewed a guy. He goes by Chicken Whisperer, and she's like, "This guy is me, more or less." And I'm like, "I'm glad we finally found somebody you can relate to." And she's go, "Shut up." And I go, I was being sincere. And she goes, his personality and a lot of his takes feel like he's the male version of me. He's intense. And I go, not to be like woo woo, but like it makes for a good analogy. Your energy levels are the same. Like when your energy levels are the same frequency as someone else, like you listen like a lot more closely.
Sure. And
she's like, that's not that woo woo. And I told her a story. Like there's a convention. I don't even know if that happens anymore. It's called Maker Faire. I went in California over 10 years ago, and I saw Adam Savage speak at Maker Faire. And during his talk, he said something that I still remember. He goes, "You can't help what you're inspired by. Like if you see something that inspires you, you can't help. Like that's what, like, whoa, that's crazy. I want to do that." Like
you can't pick and choose what inspires you.
Right. It just happens. I think the same thing happens. Like you can't help who influences you, because you could be at a certain state of mind when you hear a thing or see a thing. 3 years later, if you see or hear that same thing, it might not have the same effect or any effect at all.
Yeah.
So it's really just completely random. Like Scott and I listened, and like who knows why that stuck out to me all those years ago. Just started listening to the survival podcast. I was influenced by it, and now it's like I kind of listen more passively. Like I still like check in, not as I just don't listen as much as I used to. But
yeah, I can kind of track, as I have politically progressed into different things, from going like your basic run of the mill, I guess you can say Republican to conservative to this to that, whatever it is. I could pretty much list out who I have gone through where I started, and each person as I have progressed and changed opinions and mindsets and thoughts along the way. And then where I am now is I just don't listen to any of them. It's more cultural. It's more cultural than political, because that's where you start, is with culture.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then turning it off, and then, fasting from it or whatever, and then focusing on, I'm going to use Twitter, but I'm not going to let it use me. So I'm going to get on, I'm going to promote whatever podcast or whatever, and then I'm going to get off. I spend a lot of time second guessing myself on what I post. Right. So, and then I say, I really shouldn't, I don't think I'll post that. And then I'll either won't post it, or later on I'll go and I'll delete it. Right. Because I got caught up in something, reacting to one of those influences. Right. Because somebody said something. And it's kind of funny. I did that right before the show. I had to go and delete one that, when I thought about it, was not the best thing to say.
You could do a Twitter circle, if you know what that is. You add people to, like, you make a tweet, but only certain people see that tweet, so it's not like broadcast to the world. But if someone screenshots it, then it's like,
right. Whoa. So that's why when it comes up and it says that this you can only see this tweet if you're following them, or this person controls the tweets that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, people were giving Jordan Peterson a lecture about that this weekend, because he was complaining about that, and they were like, "Don't you know this has a setting? You can turn off all those comments except for people that follow you or people that you want to comment."
That's another guy I've never listened to.
Yeah, he's changed a lot in the last few years.
I listened to a lot of his, recent, not recent, but older stuff. There was a big backlog at the time, and then I just listened to, kind of binged all of that until it was just a bunch of repetitiveness, and then he's become more jaded, along with everybody else, with just everything's happened over the last 2 years. It's just put everybody on edge, and they're just I think everybody is really mentally, physically, and spiritually exhausted on so many levels that they've just kind of let go of some of the things that they used to hold back.
Yeah.
Another thing I was made me think about this topic was back to the Andrew Tate thing. And I don't know what he said. I don't know what he said today. And this might get me in trouble, but I don't really care. I'm just kind of like asking questions. So just whoever's listening, just keep that in mind. Somebody I've recently interacted with on Twitter, her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend was one of the like Tate followers, and I guess like I don't know the details, and I didn't ask for them, but it was not a good breakup. They usually aren't, but like she see like even I think it's been like over a year, but she still seems like she has like almost like PTSD from the situation, and she seems to be blaming Andrew Tate instead of her ex. Now, I could see why you would do that. Why you would blame Andrew Tate? Like, this is not the guy. I started dating until he started listening to you, and now he's like this, and so you. And like, okay, but maybe he felt influenced, like whatever was going on with him, he felt influenced by Andrew Tate. And now, so like, was he subconsciously, was he always going to end up like that? Or did like Andrew Tate like push him that way? Or did he was he never going to be that way? And Andrew Tate made him that way? Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. I think there's a propensity or whatever it is, to go that way. And it's just, which is funny about Andrew Tate, because Andrew Tate is banned from Twitter.
Yeah.
So everything that you've seen is people talking about him and sharing something that's from some other platform that he's not banned from. He's like banned from almost all the platforms. So I don't know where they're getting the content from.
It could just be his big backlog.
Yeah.
Just
sure.
But like you said, he's banned. A lot of the stuff we're seeing now with Andrew Tate, and I won't say like with specific people, like the friend you talk to, but when you continuously ban and get rid of ideas that are normal, regular ideas that have been ideas for the last 100 years, and then you say, "Oh, we'll get rid of them." No, that's not this, and this is not that. And then the more and more you push that out, and you get rid of that opinion, they're just going to come back stronger and stronger, and the backlash is going to be an overcorrection and an overreaction. Sometimes I've listened to several of his clips. I come across a lot of them. Some of the stuff he says is understandable, makes sense. Some of the stuff he says doesn't. I mean, he's a multimillionaire who has dozens of supercars, so he can't really relate to everybody on that level. But when it comes to some of his main stuff he talks about, specifically towards the push with the fourth wave feminism and everything like that, it's going to resonate with a lot of young men nowadays, specifically on how they're viewed as men and the masculinity they naturally have.
Yeah. I can't speak to anything that I've really heard heard from him because I haven't listened to a single thing. So I'm just gonna have to take your word for it.
Yeah, I'm not by any means, saying he's a great person. I just know some of the ideas.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard you say.
Yeah, yeah. just making sure.
Yeah, I think he's more. I know of him. I haven't really seen too much of anything that he, is from him. So I see people talking about him, but
and again, we always only really see the side of people they want you to see and that they put out there. Mm-hmm. So, and I know one of the scandals he particularly had that people got all in a hissy about came out to be, something that was supposed to be between two people that was, okayed by both sides, and it ended up out and people twisted it and turned it, and both parties involved have said, oh, this is what it was. So people will always make a judgment and judge people. I just take from it what you need to take from it. When it comes to any influencer, always just double check what they say and think it through. Like, does this apply to me? Does this apply to this or that?
Right. Like you were talking about people getting banned, and the latest thing today is Kathy Griffin, the not so funny comedian, got banned from Twitter today. I don't even know what got her banned. Something about something. And I wasn't gonna I was like Scott, I was gonna delete this tweet, but I'm like, nah, I gotta say something. I'm like, I can't stress enough how much I don't care for Kathy Griffin. But the platform isn't any better or worse with her banned. So why do it? It's because Elon's a troll and a master of publicity. That's it. And this is our new Twitter.
Yep.
So why did she get banned? Do you know?
I thought she made a joke about Elon or something like that.
No. So the thing that's going on this weekend is all these celebrities who are blue check marks are going and changing their name, their screen name, to Elon, and then making fun of Elon. But see, they're supposed to be. He's trying to sell this whole thing about buying. He's trying to make KYC. He's trying to make you have ID where you're verified, right? So having them who are verified all of a sudden change their names breaks his system, plus mocks him, plus mocks his $8 a month to get the blue check mark. So it's like the trifecta there, and so I don't know what he did or whatever else, but there was a handful of, and none of these people are in my in that I follow, but I saw that they were trending. And then, so all these people, mostly lefty people, followed that lead. And then because they're the only ones that got the blue check marks, the media and these other people, right?
Yeah. So I know someone changed their, their regular account. I think it was Count Dankula. He changed his Twitter from whatever it was to Trump. And then he ratioed Biden. He ratioed the president by 30,000 likes or something. I don't know. I don't know the numbers, but he ratioed the president. And then I think Elon came out and said to basically, that's a bannable offense to impersonate someone with the blue, like have a blue check mark and then impersonate someone. Like he changed his profile picture. It's just what he does. Like he pretended he was a Supreme Court justice for I don't know how long. It was the greatest troll. And then so they I would say they took that Elon said, oh, we can't, impersonate people because that sounds reasonable to me. You have that verification that proves you are who you say you are, and to say you're someone else kind of breaks that. So if that was their way to snap back at him, okay.
Right. Yeah. People don't understand where he's going. So,
yeah,
he said the other day, he said, you don't understand that you are a neuron. And so we're just neurons in his AI plus meatbag computer that he's creating. Right.
Right.
And Cyprian did a video on it several months ago and basically said this is why Elon is buying Twitter, so that he can make this super AI thing that can guarantee, it's like bots on steroids, except he's controlling the bots, and that you can make today he came out and said that we're not getting rid of fact checking, we're not getting rid of content moderation, but you're going to do the moderating of everybody else. So it's like turning the Karen patrol loose on everybody else, and then he doesn't have to pay content moderators. He'll just let it take care of itself. And then, you'll have, like I said, the Karen patrol will end up getting people ratioed to the point where they'll get banned. And then he doesn't have to pay them at all. And all the time the AI is learning what's going on, and then eventually he gets to the point, even if the advertisers quit, right? So he gets this refined, and 6 months, a year from now, they'll come back begging. Of course, they won't do it publicly, but they'll come back begging because he'll have the influence algorithm down where he can guarantee that I'll get eyeballs for this, and it won't be subjective at all. And so it's,
and like with you said, like the advertisers leaving, I think 3 of the big advertisers that left, one of them's Audi, and then there's like 2 other ones, the Audi and I think Pfizer, they left, but they also didn't have anything to say when their ads were being run on extremely inappropriate content involving minors. They didn't have they didn't have a problem with that with Twitter. But now that, someone's trying to step in and maybe make it better, they have a problem with that. So.
Yeah, he will push so that everybody is verified behind the scenes. So you could have a anonymous looking name, but you'll still be verified behind the scenes. So that's clearly the way that the internet's going anyway. And, that's all. Everybody says, oh, yeah, well, he's free speech and he's right wing and all this other stuff. No, that's WEF. That's,
yeah, he is a World Economic Forum puppet,
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like Tulsi Gabbard and the eye patch guy. What's his name?
Yeah,
one eye Dan. Yeah. They're future young leaders for the World Economic Forum. So we got to eat up everything they say.
Yeah. So Elon was on Joe Rogan about a year and a half ago when he was talking about his brain implant and stuff. And some of the things he was saying in there was just like, oh, man, you're messed up, dude. So,
it's okay.
Go back and listen.
It's just a brain implant. No big deal.
You're a neuron.
Casual, everyday brain implant.
Yep.
Yeah.
He sees you as a neuron in a big AI.
Do you guys see why the blue checks were so outraged at having to pay? This is supposedly, or like allegedly, whatever, that to get verified, some of them have paid up to like $15,000. Like,
yeah, they've been
individual Twitter employees.
Yeah.
Well, the paperwork's kind of a lot, but
I think it was up to 50.
Up to 50?
I think it was up to 50.
No way. The Twitter employees were charging them.
They were getting some under the table envelopes.
Yeah, supposedly. Yeah, so it's like, well, if that's the company culture, then of course, like that's how that's system's just gonna perpetuate itself.
Right.
So, yeah, if you could get a $50,000 bonus for verifying somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, some of those people were on the Project Veritas videos and all that other stuff. So, it's part of the culture, unfortunately.
Yep.
So,
like Elon himself, like to tie it back in, like he's a huge influencer. He has a huge influence on what a lot of people do. Let alone like people using his platform, but then also, the SpaceX thing. And oh man, there's something else that I just had. I lost Tesla. Yeah. So, thank you. Like the technology that he's pushing forward, not just like us little neurons, but like other companies are making tech because he's influencing the tech world also to like drive that forward. I guess. I don't know.
Which is all heavily subsidized by the U.S. government.
Right.
All of our social medias are heavily subsidized by the United States government.
No, yeah, they started with the United States government.
I mean,
yeah. That wasn't like praise for Elon at all whatsoever. That was just like that's just how he is.
Yeah. And then he also has like the underground tunnel things. I don't know if those are doing great or not.
Oh, the bore. Yeah. That was just a boondoggle for him to get some money from California.
It'd be fun to have stupid amounts of money to just throw at dumb projects. Like I made a tweet today about we're gonna soon be raising cows in skyscrapers, and like I would put money into that project. If I had millions or billions, I'd put money into figuring out how we can raise cows in skyscrapers. Because why not?
It's
a terrible
idea.
Right? It's an awful idea.
Absolutely awful. I mean, the weight of that alone, like, and if you like pasture raise them inside in a skyscraper, I mean, that sounds awesome. Yeah. I mean, I would maybe push to like, I don't know, goats or sheep or something, not necessarily cows.
The cows can be on the bottom floor. Just get smaller and smaller ruminants as you go up.
Yeah. And then at the top, it's just like thousands of quail.
Yeah, why not?
Thousands of quail.
or mealworms, and then so the mealworms go down, and then I don't know. I need some engineers. I need some SpaceX and Blue Origin engineers to help me figure out the food cycles or something.
Well, they're all herbivores, so they're not going to be eating each other.
Well, I mean, like chicken. I don't know. We got some. We got to go to the drawing board. We got to get a drawing board first.
And you would need 2 skyscrapers so you can properly rotate pasture and not have to use antibiotics and vaccines.
Oh, you know what you could do? So you know how like Germany has, I think it's the Audi or is it VW? They have like those. It's like a vertical like, what the hell? Like a dealership. So like the part like moves the cars, right? Like it's like the little platform. Yeah. Well, why not just put cows in those? Yeah, that's how you rotate animals. Is that you just put them and on then you can have platform and moves them around.
You can have 4 skyscrapers. If we have 4 skyscrapers, the elevators on the sides, and then in the middle you have a nice courtyard with like a coffee shop or something.
That's right. See, this is the kind of influence we need, not this boring machine Twitter takeover.
And each skyscraper can have a different crop. Like one's winter rye, one's a wheat, one's an oat. Just a bunch of different types. Maybe have some sun hemp in one. Just rotate them through.
Grant, well, that's like the Carvana. They've got their car vending machine.
Yes, yeah. And then if somebody wants to buy one, you just walk it in and you just put it in an elevator all the way down.
See, these are the solutions we need, not this over like $8 a month for Twitter. This is what we need.
I mean, but look at the people who are complaining about $8 a month. It's people that have significantly more than $8 a month. It's ridiculous.
Yes,
it's just ridiculous.
Let's go. Let's in the spirit of the season. With the midterms tomorrow, let's get political for a second.
Oh no, we haven't up to this point.
Okay. More direct, more on the nose. So
we're allowed to be on the nose.
Sure, whatever.
Okay,
it's chaotic neutral here. So I mentioned Donald Trump on Stop the Steal, and like let's even go a little into crazy land with the QAnons, right?
Oh no.
So how did they get influenced to be a QAnon supporter, believer? I don't know how you classify them, but like they were so I don't know. They had a mindset of the government. Like they were so like, Hillary Clinton belongs in prison kind of mindset.
Well, they said they believe
and
Hillary
they were
Clinton
given a
was
solution.
secretly in prison. I think it's just a huge psyop.
Well,
I think
yeah,
the
of
whole
course
thing
it
is
is.
just a huge CIA psyop
Right.
just to, take these people's focus off something else and kind of give them false hope that, oh, everything's fine, everything's going to be okay. When look around, we're not. We're not okay.
I think it's the same thing that we see with Biden, right? So Biden is clearly dementia.
And it's sad. It truly
I
is
mean,
sad.
but you will see, like I said, every once in a while, because I follow the regen ag people, then sometimes I'll get some crossover and I'll see some of those other echo chambers going on, and they're like praising him upside down and backwards. So it's like,
But have they listened to him speak? I mean, how do they
doesn't matter. He's getting stuff
rationalize
done.
that?
See, and I think that this is my opinion, that the QAnon people, the idea that Trump was now anything I say about Trump, anything I say about politics here is I don't care. So, but I'm just analyzing, right? So Trump came off sounding like dumb lummox, and I'm serious. And then all of a sudden people were like, oh yeah, well he's got this secret plan and it's 4D chess, and I'm like, or maybe he's just means exactly what he says, and it's
yeah. People try to look specifically with stuff like that, that he's running like a secret government and the Pope was arrested. Like that's some of the stuff that they thought was happening. Like that would be. I would love it I would love that if that happened. I mean, how exciting that would be. That'd be great entertainment. But that's all.
That's
it is
probably why
nowadays.
people bought into it. Is because it would be exciting. There'd be some real change and blah blah blah.
Exactly. And if you recall, the media actually got him elected because they never thought he was going to get there, and he was like doing these daily things, and they were running after it because they were getting clicks and they were getting eyeballs, right?
Yeah. And then CNN went from going bankrupt to making oodles of money, and then now they're going back to having none,
right?
And like really with him, I think you saw a lot of stuff really changing. You see how stuff's changing now. People saw the effects, felt the effects of what was happening and what was getting done, and it's just not the same. And him, I don't really think, like you said, they didn't expect him to win. They didn't intend for him to win. He's probably just a wild card that came in and got played. So,
but think about it this way. They say only Nixon could go to China back in the idea that Nixon went to China back in 70s. Nobody would go to China. That's like dealing with the super duper communists, right? That's like total capitulation. The saying is only Nixon could go to China. Well, only Trump could have rolled out the vax, could have rolled out and locked us down and kept us from going to church on Easter week.
And a lot of people forget that he did that. He kind of started because he always had bad advisors in his ear.
So Biden couldn't have ever rolled that out. Bush couldn't have ever rolled that out. Obama, hell no, that would have never happened. And then
there's another influencer.
Yeah. So I mean, even more funny. Even more funny is the people, not the QAnons, but the other people that say that they know Donald Trump in person, that he's totally different. And then this is all a show that's similar to what he did when he was on wrestling, that he's acting, that the whole dumb act and the whole shtick and all his, is
just
his
another puppet,
arrogant stuff, that he's not like that in real life. So then you've got all of these things, and it's like, whatever. It's like, my logic is that you can't get to that level in any way unless, something's going on behind the scenes.
You touched on Obama, and I would want to say amazing influencer. Whoever did his PR and marketing the entire time. All very wealthy, I'm sure.
I mean,
why doesn't the Biden administration hire the Obama PR marketing team? Or they're like, maybe
they're
like,
there.
we're doing the best we can.
I mean, it's mostly some of the same staff. You know, you can't really hide so much of that because, you know, this is basically just Obama's third term. You know, it really is. And to give credit where it's due, as much as you don't want to, a lot of that Obama just had. He had all that. He grabbed everybody's attention. You know, he just had it, and he used it, and he took advantage of it. But that's what they do, you know.
Yeah.
So, and then put us in, I would have to say, the worst position. You know, people to people. You know, a lot of things were stirred up back then. A lot, and I saw it, and it's still sticking around. You know, it was, and it's just continuing. People just don't really care about other people. I would have to say it's just like we went from, I don't know how to word this, but it's just a lot of disconnect was sowed.
Disconnect in which way?
I don't know. I would have to say like politically, of course, but then more so within the family. I mean, I would say a lot of, you know, they came after the family really hard in the last, you know, couple decades. They really have ripped it apart in so many ways. You can take this back to the 70s. They started pulling the family apart.
Sure. Yeah, and that, you know, I mean, another influencer would be your parents, right?
Yeah.
They're there good ones the day you're born. So
whether they're good or not is by, you can think it's by chance, but you know.
Well, now you go to the restaurant and everybody at the table has a screen in front of them, including the little kids. So how much influencing is going on from your parents at this point? And
now you say that, you know, even at home, you get there's like to pacify their children, they throw them a tablet. I'm like, my kids aren't getting a phone until they can legally leave. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's because
wouldn't be the worst thing.
Because, you know, my grandfather, he gave me a tablet. You know, I wouldn't say I abused it. I would still do stuff. I was homeschooled online, so we were already in that. But we did things. It's not like now. It's just like you're constantly. They can't be quiet at the dinner table without a phone or a tablet. They can't be quiet at the restaurant or the grocery store. Wherever else, I see parents give their kids a tablet, a $2,000 piece of equipment to a 6-year-old. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane.
So then everything's an influence. Every little game that they play, every little ad that they see,
and like with kids YouTube, this went on a while back. You know, some of the perverted things that ended up on kids YouTube that was being shown to children through like Spider-Man and Elsa from Frozen. You know, that was some really bad, really perverted stuff that these parents are just unwillingly letting their kids watch and they're being victimized without even knowing it.
Right.
Like, because the kids don't know any better. And then the things children are exposed to nowadays is getting worse and worse at younger and younger ages. Like, they shouldn't be exposed to that in the first place, and let alone have access.
Right.
Is there anything you guys that we needed to cover that we didn't already cover, that you're like, hey, I wanted to mention this and we just didn't get around to it?
Yeah, I think one of the things that stands out, so we've been talking mostly about social media, we've been talking about, you know, politics and stuff like that, is what is it's more than just money that the influencer is craving. or even us, right? If we're influencing, then, are you influencing for money, or are you influencing for one of the other 8 forms of capital? Right. So,
or is it by complete accident?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. I mean, your goal for FarmHopLife is more of influence and developing relationships than it is, hey, I want you to go and click on this ad.
Right. I'm influencing connections. Like
Right.
when we first started, you were talking about how you're like raising your chestnuts to grow. And Grant's like, oh, I want to know about that. And right away, he jumped in and started asking questions.
I have chestnuts. And when we end this, I have a few more questions to ask about it. But like last week, I was on this last week and I met 2 other completely different people. One who's, got a significant following on TikTok, and the other one who is going into, he has a product way of life things for your farm, things that make things easier, automation. Just to give it an extra second hand, quality of life things that could really come in handy, and how far he takes that with like waters. It tells you the temperature of your water. Is it frozen? How full is it? You could take that with, enough, funding and capability. I could pull up on my phone and on an app and say, okay, my water tank's 70% full and it's 62 degrees. Mm-hmm. And it's stuff like that you could use to assist you, but you won't rely on it. It won't be it'll just be an extra tool you can use to make things easier. And then say lights go out the next day, you can still go out and stick your finger in it.
Right. Yeah, and these are the kind of things that they're kind of relationships and the kind of influence I'm more interested in, right? Is this is not quite real life, because I mean we're not physically sitting in front of each other, right? But it's a heck of a lot more real life than tweeting at each other. See
one-on-one personal influence.
Yeah, because I mean, I met people online that are in the region or something like that, and then we'll have a meetup, right? We'll have a workshop, we'll have something like that, and it's like, hey, cool, awesome, and then we've made a connection, and then they'll say, hey, I've got I've got an apple press. Let's get together and press some apples and make some cider. I've got whatever. Can you come and help me? Process chickens? Or something like that. Even some people that are maybe in another state or something.
We'll have to get a shirt
pretty quick.
And like to that, with meeting people, I would say one thing we're talking about influencing, as an individual, do what you can to influence someone else around you in person. Mm-hmm. I do a lot since I have started, 6 months ago, getting out into the real world, working and going to school on a regular basis, talking to as many people as I can, whether I'm comfortable with it or not, is that it'll just stop you. So this one guy I met at Lowe's, he saw me put 50 blackberries in my car, 50 blackberry bushes I got for $1 in my car. And I talked to him, and then I just on the next Tuesday, I just happened to see him again. He was there for a completely different reason. I was there for the same reason. And he just texted me tonight and asked if I had any of my totes. He wants to buy 10 to 15 of them.
Wow.
That's I've got 37. So of course, for the right price, I'll sell them. That's 400 square feet of garden space, but I could pad my savings better, use that for something else, and I can recoup those totes in 2-3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And like I would say, to make influences with people, the app, it's called Neighbors. It's just people like in your county or in your city, kind of like Facebook, but on a much smaller level. And it's just people around you. I've gotten 2 trash bags of canna lilies from this lady. I've met this one lady who I have helped with her garden a lot. overbuying some potato slips, some sweet potato slips. And she's now someone who I can help, with something, whether that be run fence. I've sold her some cut totes. Just make connections everywhere you go, because you never know when they'll stick and how they'll turn out.
Exactly.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, I'm interviewing my friend Kurt on one of the next episodes, and he actually went down and volunteered with some old ladies garden group and helped them clean out their gardens, and they gave him a whole bunch of extra raspberry plants.
That sounds amazing. That just sounds so awesome.
And
you help people, you help someone who needs it, and because of them being old and elderly, the stories you get from them, the knowledge you can pick up from them, just being around them a short amount of time, stuff like that you can't replace. You can't replace people like that, because when they're gone, they're gone, and
Sure.
what they had with them goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's the influencing we should be talking about.
Yes, exactly. Grant, you're hired to do more FarmHopLife somethings. I don't know. We'll figure it out later.
I mean, I anytime and every time, just ask.
All right. Let's if we're good on what
yeah, I think that's a great
said.
way to end it.
Yeah. I agree. That was perfect closure. Okay, Scott, go ahead and plug your stuff.
Sure. Check out Thrive in the Future podcast, thriveinthefuture.com. It's also on all your fave podcast apps. And then we were talking earlier about grow nut trees. You can see what I'm doing. I don't have too much inventory left, but we grow chestnuts that'll work in the Midwest.
Okay, so how do you think those would do in the South?
Pretty good.
Are they Chinese chestnuts?
They are.
Okay. I'm dying to get my hands on the new American chestnut that KSU is trying to bring back.
Right.
I don't know if I want to do that, because then KSU will have to monitor the tree. So I don't know if I necessarily want to give them access to the tree.
Break in and steal it.
Don't tempt me. So what is the website for the trees again?
GrowNutTrees.com.
Okay.
It's a nice site. Very nice.
Yeah. It's WordPress WooCommerce.
Excellent. All right. Grant, go ahead.
I don't really have much to say, because I don't really do much. But you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you want. Eventually, I'm going to start putting out videos of how I started and how I got into gardening, through the process of raking in the ground, to cutting down trees, to throwing down eventually 80 raised beds. So that's going to be a long segment of me talking, 90 seconds at a time.
You're a mad lad.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. So 80 raised beds?
I do. I have 80 12 square foot raised beds.
Wow.
34 of them are my main vegetable garden section, and the rest of them have various flowers and bushes. I've got 74 blueberry bushes, 60 asparagus, just a whole bunch of stuff.
Scott, you should go back and watch the interview on YouTube. It's the one right before yours on my YouTube channel.
Sure.
And I am Matt DeRozier of FarmHopLife. We are a traveling homestead family. Right now, we are doing podcast interviews and this men's forum and updates. And you can go to our website, farmhoplife.com/20x23 to learn more about our 20 by 23 project, where we're going to visit 20 homesteads in the year 2023. So next week, I have an idea for next week, and everyone can hate it and get over it, and then just get on board for next week. What have you done for me lately?
Like you specifically?
Is that the topic next week?
We can ask. You can answer that. That's fine. I'll be open to criticism. Like, Matt, what have you done for me lately? some people have an attitude of like, what have you done for me lately? And I am of that mindset. Like, okay, you did that thing for me in the past, but what have you done for me lately? So
I understand. But I understand that, where you come from, like how you think like that. Because I also think similar to that, when you meet with people, is this person a connection I want to make? Will it be worth my time? Will I get out of it what I put into it? Just stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the topic for next week.
Fun.
And I appreciate you guys being here. And
thank you.
I appreciate.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate everyone listening. We'll see you next week.
Take care.
You two stick around.
Okay.